I did a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon SoulSilver using only yellow Pokémon, and my starter Cyndaquil is technically yellow, but I mean, if you look at the official artwork, it kinda makes sense. Just kidding, this is the official artwork, so I don't know what Game Freak was thinking. Regardless, Howdy is my very first teammate, and since this is a Nuzlocke, if she or any of my other Pokémon faint in battle, they're dead forever. Here's the rest of the rules for this playthrough, but after Howdy plows through our rival's Chikorita, we can start getting some new encounters, starting with a Weedle from Route 30, who himself isn't a yellow Pokemon, but once he evolves... What the hell, Howdy? Well, fortunately, I can still catch a Kakuna from Route 31, and since she's a fellow female, Howdy doesn't kill her with another crit. Welcome to the Girl Squad, Guten Tag. Now, you may be wondering about Bellsprout, who can also be caught on Route 31, but this is obviously a green Pokemon. There's nothing yellow about Bellsprout or its evolutions, ya goofball. Someone call animal control, cause we got a silly goose over here. After roughly 20 million encounters, I find a Dunsparce in Dark Cave. And despite his Y chromosome, Howdy generously shows him some mercy, meaning that Chow joins the team as an honorary girly. So with some classic rage gaming, he eradicates Faulkner's prized pigeons like a vindictive strand of avian influenza. While we wait for Chow to wrap things up, you should consider subscribing to the channel for more Nuzlocke videos. It's a really easy way to help me out, and even if you think you're subscribed, there's like a 50% chance you aren't. Anyways, by learning Rollout, I thought Chow would chow down on Bugsy's bug types as well, but I failed to account for the second gym leader's CW Rider's Room-esque plot armor, because after setting up Focus Energy, this short shorts wearing sociopath gets a critical hit with U-turn, meaning that once Scyther comes back in, she can just kill Chow before he has the chance to do any damage with his powered up rollouts. And now that my early game ringer is dead, I gotta rely on the team's resident hothead Howdy. With some super effective embers and maybe a bit of smokescreen luck, there's a chance that she can still clutch out a win and avenge nope, that's another critical hit. Cool. Well, Guten Tag also gets crit, so that's a wrap on attempt 1, and my beloved girly gang is gone forever. In attempt 2, our Pokemon's genders are exactly reversed, with Chow as the lone female, and my only hope is that round 2 against Bugsy's Scyther goes a bit better. I decide to just lead with Howdy and start ripping embers, and despite Scyther setting up another Focus Energy and immediately getting another critical hit, our second ember triggers a burn. Can't crit through that, chump. Looks like it was I who had the plot armor, and attempt 1 was just the writer's attempt to make me face early adversity, such that my eventual success is all the more satisfying. The redemption arc was a little quick, but with our early season villain defeated, we're due for the introduction of a brand new character, Yo the Drowsy. Not the best vibes from Yo, I'll admit, but a teammate's a teammate, and she's not the only psychic type joining the crew, because on Route 34, I can also catch an Abra. Psych, that is obviously a brown Pokemon. Drowsy, yellow as the sun. Abracadabra Alakazam, brown as the dirt under my feet. And why you would think otherwise is beyond me. Where is that animal control officer I called? Clearly there's still a silly goose on the loose. Let me call them back. Oh, Flygon, these games are pretty long. I don't think we have time for this gimmick. What? Oh, I was expecting an explosion because you said the T word. The T word? Oh, you mean time? No. Did somebody say time? Yeah, you're my spawn conscience, and you're here to tell me about the sponsor of this video, Holzkern. You know, I really like my Holzkern accessories, so I don't need you to bust in here like the Kool-Aid man and derail the whole video. You don't? No, Garchomp FJ and I have a real good rapport going on. Someone call an ambulance! 1 second, I'm busy. It really Look, spawn conscience, I think you should retire. And to show that there's no ill will, I want you to have one of my favorite Holzkern watches, the Existential, made from marble and gold. Go ahead, take it. Alright, well, Holzkern is an Austrian accessories company that specializes in products made from wood and other natural materials. They've got over 1,000 different products, including watches and jewelry for both men and women, all made in small quantities to ensure every item meets a high standard of quality. With the holidays fast approaching, Holzkern has the perfect gift for anyone in your life. For example, I'm getting my mother-in-law the Chit Chat watch made from nacre and rose gold. Fingers crossed this isn't the first video of mine that she decides to to watch. Dana loves all of her Holzkern jewelry, like her new visual earrings. And now that I'm in my jewelry era, I just got the tremolo bandlet made from zebra wood and black steel. For a limited time only, Holzkern is having their biggest sale of the year, where you can get up to an exclusive 30% off by clicking my link in the description or the pinned comment down below. It's really the perfect opportunity to find a gift for that special someone or treat yourself to something unique and high quality. Thanks so much to Holzkern for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the challenge. If you thought that Bugsy was a top tier villain, Whitney and her Miltank are about to rock your world. Going into this fight, I was pretty skeptical about my game plan, which candidly is less of a game plan and more of a hope and a prayer. But game plans are for Madison Pettis, I don't need them. Against Clefairy, I'm hoping a single flamethrower is enough for the KO. It's not even close. Good internal compass you got there, Magellan. But then Clefairy's metronome pulls a paralysis-free lick, which is close to a best-case scenario. As the big baddie takes the field, I start to execute Operation Smokescreen. Attract and flinches from Stomp make things harder, but even so, Howdy gets off 2 smoke screens by the time he falls into the red and needs to be switched out, lest I want to bury my trusty partner. It's Chow who comes in, hungry to make a name for herself in attempt 2. And with the smokescreen accuracy drops, she successfully yawns the cow to sleep, which we need to do twice thanks to her held Lumberry, all the while using Rock Smash to pound Miltank like the premium beef patty she is. A critical hit Rock Smash puts our foe into striking distance as she falls asleep. So with one last Rock Smash, we leave Miltank with a sliver. But thanks to the defense drops, even after Whitney heals, Chow's able to finish the job and win us the 3rd gym badge. It turns out that Whitney was a red herring and not the big bad she was poised to be. Our next major adversary is actually still a ways away, and before we get there, our cast of characters is expanding once more. Konnichiwa the Vulpix with good endurance, Ola the Jolly Meowth, Aloha the Brave Giraffarage, Shalom the Hungry Execute, Hi the Justifiably Vain Eevee, I mean look at how cute she is, and Anyang the Defiant Sunkern with an express ticket to Flavortown all join the crew. And you might notice that 4 of these 6 new teammates evolve with stones, which means I have to return to the Dome, a place where decency dares not enter and violence reigns supreme. We need battle points, lots of battle points, and as a result, we need to win by whatever means necessary. We can't afford to see our enemies as anything other than obstacles in our path, targets to be eliminated. Survival in the Dome necessitates doing bad things, and bad things we do. But with our blood-stained winnings, I purchase a Fire, Leaf, and Thunderstone, which evolve Konnichiwa, Shalom, and Hi into their final yellow forms. So yeah, for those keeping track, Victory Bell, green, Alakazam, brown, Executor, yellow. When did humanity stray so far from God's light? But also look at how cute Hai is with her evil little grin. She's plotting something, I just know it. Unfortunately, Sunstones can't be obtained from the Dome until the post-game, so Anyang Fieri won't be leaving the box anytime soon. Regardless, the roster's more than doubled in size, so we're due for some bonding. And what better way to bond with like-minded peers than by committing murder? Yes, no one in Johto is safe from the Yellow Assassins. Everywhere we go, we bring death and destruction. We blitz through towns, dropping bodies with ruthless efficiency. Each new kill strengthens the bond between teammates. Our notoriety grows as fear engulfs the Johto region. New teammates join our ranks along the way, and nothing can stop us from claiming badge after badge after badge. Wait a minute. Rewind for a second. Okay, pause. Enhance to the northwest corner and play. Are you kidding me? I lost a Pokemon to Pryce? Has that ever happened before? Like to anyone? Of all the fights in this game, it's Pryce's special attacking Piloswine that gives me the most trouble? Yikes! Well, thinking that Howdy can just finish what Konnichiwa started, I bring him in to hit a second flamethrower, but that misses thanks to Piloswine's Snow Cloak ability, meaning another Mud Bomb. Okay, well at least that one doesn't crit, but not wanting to risk another miss here, I switch out, this time to Yo the Hypno, who should just be able to get the KO with a Drain Punch. Well, this sucks. Thankfully, even though Pryce heals, Yo continues to use Drain Punch to do decent damage to Piloswine and also gain back some HP in the process. She also manages to never miss, luck that feels too good to be true, until Piloswine lands a critical hit Ice Fang that also freezes. I see we're at the point of the story where the main character's patience is tested. Well, fortunately, Pryce doesn't heal again, so after Aloha eats a casual Blind Blizzard, he finally takes the KO on the destructive Piggy. And then Hai nukes Dewgong with a combo of Thunderbolt and Quick Attack, netting us the 7th gym badge. But boy is that gonna tarnish the Yellow Assassin's legacy. The good news is that with the new level cap, Howdy can evolve into his final form. Softens the sting of losing Konnichiwa quite a bit, if I'm being honest. The next gym leader, Clair, is the first gym leader since Whitney to be a problem. Or I guess I should say the first gym leader since Whitney that I expected to be a problem. Friggin' Pryce. Clair's ace Kingdra is the main issue, mostly due to her ability Sniper. The plan is to use Gutentag to lay down some toxic spikes against her terrible lead Gyarados, who we can incapacitate via Yawn from Chow. And then once Hai gets the kill with Thunderbolt, Clair brings in the first of her 2 Dragonairs, which both have Shed Skin, meaning that I can't rely on gradual poison damage. Instead, I gotta use raw power. Ola the Persian can come in on an Aqua Tail and then use a Silk Scarf boosted Technician Fake Out for stupid damage. A Return then gets the KO and brings in Kingdra, so it's time to get to work. After a Protect to let the Toxic Chip start building up, it's out to Shalom, the very yellow Exeggutor, on a nasty Hydro Pump. Since that attack didn't crit, all we gotta do is dodge one more and we should be home free. Dragon Pulse rips into Shalom's lemon-colored body, and he dodges the crit. His Leech Seed also connects, so now Kingdra's losing crazy amounts of HP. Protecting for a turn means that the residual damage brings her all the way into the red, forcing Clair to waste a full restore. And I say waste because after Shalom hits a soft Seed Bomb, the residual damage brings Kingdra all the way back down into the red. So one last turn of protecting, and down goes the Seahorse. Clair's final Dragonair is powerless to Yo's onslaught of mixed attacks, so with that, we've secured the 8th and final Johto Gym Badge. The Kimono Girls back in Ecruteak City provide the final challenge before the Elite Four, but they don't stand a chance against Ola. He's one bad hombre, and the combination of Fake Out and a Speedy Return is enough to kill every single evolution, except for Umbreon, who simply fires off a soft Dark Pulse, and Vaporeon, who we take care of with a switch to Shalom. And no, I didn't forget that Vaporeon knew Aurora Beam here. This was a calculated risk so that we can get the kill with Thunderbolt from Hai. Just like I planned. We've now officially made it to the Pokemon League where our hardest trial awaits. Lance is extremely difficult without a speedy Ice Beamer to take out his 3 Dragonites, and that is one thing that we do not have. Might I instead offer you an unevolved duck? Or perhaps a fat snake? Those are my only 2 Ice Beamers, so needless to say, I don't envision this going well. Regardless, here's the team that's gonna try to cobble together a dub. Easily one of the weirdest teams I've ever assembled, but what they lack in, I don't know, credibility, they make up for in a can-do attitude and murder-based camaraderie. So let's see if they've got what it takes to become Johto champions. In classic fashion, the first member of the Elite Four is a clean sweep, this time from Hai with Choice Spec Shadow Balls, which slice through Will's team like 5 perfectly cooked fish fillets. The second member, Koga, is not a clean sweep, though Howdy does do his best. Flamethrowers torch Ariados and Fortress, and then Earthquake does a little more than 50% to Muck, who for possibly the first time ever decides to go for Screech instead of Minimize, putting me in a very high-risk, high-reward scenario. After Black Sludge recovery, Muck is sitting above 50%, meaning that Earthquake is probably a roll. If we hit it, that's Koga's scariest Pokemon defeated, but if we don't, then Howdy is almost certainly dead to a gunk shot. So the question is, do I dare risk my beloved starter's oh, I guess I'm going for it. Come on, Howdy. Woo! Howdy with the clutch KO! Koga brings in Crobat next, and with the defense drop from Screech, I gotta switch out. Unfortunately, Hai comes in on a double team, but she simply does not care, because we immediately connect with a Thunderbolt for the KO. Venomoth is last, so Beep Beep Pony is free to come in and take his first KO of the Elite Four to win us the battle. But it certainly ain't his last, because poor Bruno follows in the meager footsteps of Will by being another clean sweep. Not much to stop Choice choice spec psychics, I'm afraid, so that's 3 members of the Elite Four down, though the final member Karen is almost always the only real threat. Gutentag is my lead against Umbreon, with Twin Needle doing solid damage before Umbreon retaliates with a feint attack, yet another shocking choice by the AI to not go for the evasion boost. But this lets Gutentag hit Umbreon with U-turn for the safe switch to Howdy and a clean KO, which brings in Gengar. We immediately trade off powerful attacks. Flamethrower brings Gengar into the yellow, and Gengar's Focus Blast brings Howdy into the red thanks to a critical hit. After our Citrus Berry activates, Karen heals, so our second Flamethrower just brings Gengar back to around 30%. So now I've got another decision to make. I can obviously kill Gengar with a Flamethrower, but if I do, that'll bring in Houndoom next, and then I'd need to risk a critical hit on the switch to Ola. So instead of taking the kill, I decide to switch to Gutentag, who is slower than Gengar, which on the following turn will let me get a free switch into Ola via slow U-turn. And boy, is it a good thing that I made that switch, because Karen also switches her Gengar out. And speak of the devil, Houndoom comes in. Had we tried to take the KO on Gengar, Flamethrower would have triggered Houndoom's Flash Fire, and I absolutely would have lost a Pokemon. Flash Fire boosted Houndoom hits ridiculously hard. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything. Unfortunately, this does mean that I have to risk the KO on Ola, who I've gained a real appreciation for in this playthrough. Sure, Technician is a 50-50 ability roll, but with it, the Fake Out Return combo is a crazy amount of damage, and losing him here would be a gut punch. So come on, Ola. I need you to do this one last thing for me, bud. Just survive. No critical hit and no burn means that Ola can use his patented FOR method to take out Houndoom. Gengar comes back in, so with a feint attack, our Killer Kitten gets another KO and brings in Vileplume. With Petal Dance, she can't do a damn thing to Gutentag, who with some proper sequencing gets a KO via U-turn, yet again granting a safe switch, this time to High, who finishes off Karen's Duck with a Thunderbolt. It was a little touch and go there, but that's another deathless victory, so we've got our full team happy and healthy as we face off against the league champion and his terrifying dragons. A lump forms in my throat as I think about what's coming, what I'll almost certainly have to do for a victory. Lance leads with Gyarados and I lead with Beep Beep, who outspeeds and one-shots with a quad-effective Thunderbolt. Aloha's psychic typing then baits in Aerodactyl next, which is important because it means I can safely switch to High on a crunch and take another KO with another Thunderbolt before any of Lance's Dragonites come out. But now, the biggest and beefiest of the 3 takes the field, and there's only one thing to do. That's right, play the royalty-free sad music, because High's making the ultimate sacrifice. With a Choice Specs Thunderbolt, she does extremely impressive damage to Dragonite. Enough to trigger his Citrus Berry, but then there's nothing stopping our foe from ripping one of the strongest moves in the game and killing High. So long, my friend. You'll be missed. Well, Ola can now come in, and by using Fake Out... Wait! Dragonite has Inner Focus. If I use Fake Out, Dragonite will not get flinched, and Ola will die. Thank God I remembered that in the very nick of time. But unfortunately, that means that we're in trouble. Ola is holding an Asper Berry, which with Natural Gift grants her a 60 base power Ice-type move. Thanks to Technician, that becomes a 90 base power Ice-type move, but given Dragonite's dummy-thick defenses and Ola's attack IV of 1, this is a roll to kill. So, Ola, remember how against Karen I said that I need you to do one last thing? Well, that was a lie. Now I need you to do one last thing, and that's getting this kill. If you do this, we can win. And don't do it for me, do it for High. Ooh. Thank you, you beautiful, murderous kitten. The strongest Dragonite is now dead, but there's 2 more left, so this can still get extremely ugly. And, Ola, remember how 6 seconds ago I said that I need you to do one last thing? Well, that was a lie. I also need you to tank a Dragon Rush. No big deal, right? You can do that. Just hit the Dragonite with a powerful return. Okay, well, that was depressingly little damage, but come on, Ola, you can live this Dragon Rush, buddy. I know it. There we go. Okay, that's it, Ola. You're done, I promise. From here, I decide to bring in Chow, who miraculously dodges the 75% accurate Dragon Rush on the Switch. That's an absolutely incredible feeling, but it's immediately snuffed out by Dragonite's second Dragon Rush, causing a flinch. And worse, it just barely doesn't do enough to trigger our Citrus Berry, meaning that we're probably risking a high roll on this next turn. But I got no other play, so Dragon Rush number 3 comes out, and Chow lives on 4 HP. This means that she can hit Dragonite with a yawn. That's right, baby, we're gambling the entire run on sleep turns. World's best Nuzlocker right here. After protecting to ensure that Dragonite falls asleep, I use Roost to get back to full HP. That alone requires at least a 2-turn sleep, but the risk is well worth the reward. Dragonite then snoozes for a 3rd turn, so Chow stays at full HP as she fires off an Ice Beam. It doesn't do enough to get the KO, but since Lance just uses a full restore, we can hit him with another yawn and then protect so that he falls back asleep. Ice Beam number 2 then takes another chunk of HP and puts Dragonite 1 hit away from going down. Sadly, he gets an early wake up, so Dragon Rush brings Chow back to just above 50% as she takes her first KO. That's 2 down and 1 to go. The 3rd Dragonite hits yet another Dragon Rush, and this one leaves Chow with 10 HP, but without the flinch, another yawn puts the beast to sleep. On the first turn of sleep, I use Roost to get back to over 50%, and then Dragonite stays asleep for a 2nd turn, meaning that with another Ice Beam, Chow's just one last hit away from killing both Dragonites. But my heart drops as our foe wakes up, and a deadly Hyper Beam tears through Chow, leaving her with 15 HP. Chow has done it. One last Ice Beam makes her a double Dragon Slayer, and all that's left is Charizard. But we have a fortuitous answer to him, because Howdy has a Rock-type hidden power. So just 2 hits are enough to get the final KO of the fight, defeating Lance and earning our quirky team a hard-fought place in the Hall of Fame. But since this is Johto, our journey isn't over. Kanto yearns to meet the legendary Yellow Assassins, and it would be rude not to accept their invitation. The first thing I do when I get to Kanto is Beedrill line straight to Route 10, where I can catch an Electabuzz named Moy. She'll never replace High in our hearts, but Moy is another much-needed speedy electric type. And with the National Dex obtained, I can also finally get a Sunstone and evolve Anyong into Sunflora, right in time to start terrorizing the Cantonian gym leaders. Save for Lieutenant Surge's truly psychotic team of double teamers, like seriously, whoever came up with his Pokemon's movesets needs to be sent to prison for life. The rest of the first 7 Kanto gym leaders are embarrassingly bad. Like, I sweep Blaine with a Psyduck. Anyways, the only Kanto gym leader worth his salt is the last gym leader, Blue, but careful routing makes him fairly safe. Gutentod kills his lead Exeggutor with U-turn and brings in Moy to bait out Rhydon. Shalom comes in on Earthquake and then gets another Oko with Giga Drain. Arcanine is the one Pokemon that causes some issues by landing a critical hit Flare Blitz onto Howdy, but thanks to our held Citrus Berry, as long as he doesn't get another critical hit, which he doesn't, we're free to get the KO with 2 hidden powers. Aloha kills Gyarados with Thunderbolt, Yo kills Machamp with a few Psychics, and then Moy kills Pidgeot with another Thunderbolt, so the 16th and final gym badge is ours, meaning we've got one last challenge: the fight against Red on top of Mount Silver. But first I take a detour to Cerulean Cave to pick up the Electrolyzer so that Moy can evolve into Electivire. Hopefully with that extra bulk and physical power, he can do some serious damage in the final showdown of the game. Red leads with his Pikachu, so I lead with Howdy to immediately nuke him with an Eruption. That brings in Blastoise, so I switch to Yo on a flubbed Focus Blast. Yo's job is to stall the Tinky Turtle out of blizzards and do chip damage with Drain Punch. In an ideal world, she could get the KO herself, but we don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where Santa Clarita Diet got cancelled, Xfinity exists as a company, and Yo gets frozen by Blizzard. Fortunately, she has enough HP to fully stall Blastoise out of his remaining Blizzard PP, so even though she doesn't unfreeze, I can now safely switch to Shalom and take the kill with a Giga Drain. That brings in Charizard third, so anticipating a Fire-type move, I switch to Howdy. Unfortunately, it's an Air Slash, which means that if we can't kill our base stat clone with a Choice Specs hidden power, Howdy is probably gonna die. But he gets the KO. Yeehaw, howdy! Red's got just 3 Pokemon left, and first up is Lapra. I switch to Moy on a Brine, and then she outspeeds to hit Lapra with a nasty Thunder Punch. But since that's not nearly enough for the KO, my newest teammate eats a massive Blizzard, which also isn't enough for a KO, though it does leave us with 39 HP, which drops to 26 HP after Hail Chip. That means that Moy's got just 2 more turns before the Blizzard beats her down. With her penultimate turn, she uses a second Thunder Punch to kill Lapra. Then we fall down to 13 HP and Snorlax comes out 5th. This Beefcake is a tricky Pokemon to deal with, and I decide that the only logical choice is to hit him with a Low Kick, which could kill, but no matter what happens, it means that Moy is a goner, whether it's at the hands of Snorlax himself or from the relentless weather. Low Kick ends up not being a KO, so Snorlax gets the kill with a Blizzard, and frustratingly, thanks to the Blizzard chip on our foe, Red is gonna heal on the next turn. So I bring in Shalom, who after the predicted full restore, sets up a Wide Lens boosted Leech Seed. This lets us do phenomenal chip damage, which can be doubled by going for Protect. And by the time I switch out, Shalom is back to nearly full HP. Howdy comes back in on a Blizzard, which was a little risky since he's already so low on HP, but the attack only does ever so slightly more damage than the follow-up Hail Chip, and with another turn of Leech Seed, Snorlax creeps closer and closer to death's door. And perhaps he sees the writing on the wall, because as I switch back to Shalom, Red fires off a massive Giga Impact. But without the crit, Shalom survives. And since Red's forced to recover for a turn, Shalom can do a massive chunk of damage with Giga Drain before Hail Chip takes out Snorlax and leaves our foe with his final Pokemon, Venusaur. But this dumb plant is hard-walled by Gutentag. Sludge Bomb does very little damage, and we've got a Chesto Berry to shrug off Venusaur's Sleep Powder. After just a few turns, Gutentag uses a second Poison Jab to bring Venusaur down to the sliveriest of slivers. Our final foe connects with a second Sleep Powder, and then the weather rages on, damaging first our slumbering bug, and then Red's last stand. Venusaur falls in defeat, and with that, we've won not just the battle against Red, but the entire run. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Or don't, I don't know, but I do know that you should follow me on Twitch to keep up with streams of my current ROM hack challenges. Stay tuned for more Nuzlocke videos, and until then, remember to always, always, always play around the critical hit.